This will make a difference not only in California, but we know it will make a difference around the world.
California passes one of the toughest police use of force laws in the country. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
And I'm Barbara Lee Edwards. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the bill today that redefines when law enforcement officers can use deadly force.
News 8's Richard Allen is live downtown tonight with reaction from the local assemblywoman who sponsored the bill and how local police have changed their stance on it. Richard?
And Barbara Lee and Marcella, up until today, California's law guiding the use of deadly force for law enforcement had not been updated since 1872, almost 150 years ago. Now, this new law mandates that police use of force be used only when necessary, with the hope that this will reduce the number of officer-involved shootings and deaths.
I'm ready to sign this damn thing.
Monday, Governor Gavin Newsom officially signed off on one of the nation's strictest laws regulating police use of deadly force.
I hope that we can reduce the number of lives lost and we can begin to build trust and heal.
It's been a difficult journey.
San Diego Assemblywoman Shirley Weber was the driving force behind the bill, which originally faced fierce opposition from law enforcement statewide. That stance later shifted to neutral, and the bill ultimately garnered widespread bipartisan support after it was adjusted to address police concerns.
This will make a difference not only in California, but we know it will make a difference around the world.
This new law changes the standard of law enforcement using deadly force from instances when it's reasonable now to when it is necessary. It also takes into account an officer's actions leading up to the potential use of fatal force and encourages the use of de-escalation and crisis intervention techniques.
More emphasis on making sure that we are trying to use deadly force as a last resort.
David Trujillo is advocacy director of the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial counties.
Black and brown people have been disproportionately impacted by police shootings, police killings, and so we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can. We change that to make sure that officers are de-escalating the situation at every possible opportunity.
It will not bring back those that we've lost, but we hope and pray that it will prevent those from being lost.
Now, this new law goes into effect on January 1st. There's also a companion piece of legislation that would require law enforcement agencies to train its officers with respect to this new law. Supporters are hoping that that bill will be passed into law in the coming weeks. Marcella?
All right, Richard, thanks.